Are you tired of spending too much of your hard-earned money at the supermarket? Are you dreaming of farm fresh eggs, homegrown veggies, and homemade everything? Well, welcome to Ditch the Store, where we break free from supermarket dependence and take back control of our food and household essentials. I'm CJ, and I'm here to show you that life is too short for store-bought eggs. So let's get started. G'day everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ditch the Store. And this week it is episode 129, and we are speaking about window and mirror cleaning. And I think it's probably one of the ones that I struggled the most converting over to homemade stuff. And I'm going to make up a fresh batch this weekend, so coming up. So you'll be watching this when this episode will be coming out on the 21st of August. I was just looking at my calendar then. 21st of August, and I'll make up a batch, and so keep an eye out on the social medias. If you're not following us already, you can follow us at Ditch the Store, or you can follow us at our homepage, which is Mojo Homestead, which is all things farmy as well as all of our Ditch the Store stuff. And so I'll make up a new batch and test it out. I'm actually going to add a secret ingredient that I found out about. And we'll discuss that in a sec. But I will be making up a new batch of window and glass cleaner, and we will test it out and you can see what you think. Now, our windows here get absolutely putrid. The joys of living out in a dusty farm environment means that the external windows of our house, to clean them, it's almost like a power wash with a brush to get them anywhere near clean. It's an absolute nightmare. So it'll be a real good test run to see how it goes. Oh, and I wanted to shout out to Courtney, who is one of our very faithful listeners, who went and tried the dishwasher tablets the recipe for the dishwasher tablets. I don't have a dishwasher. We're completely off grid, so we don't have a dishwasher here because it just drains too much power. And she does have a dishwasher, and she's a very faithful listener. So thank you, Courtney. She went out and tried it, and she has sent me a post saying that the dishwasher tablets worked great. Vinegar didn't work so well for her as a rinse aid. So if anybody has any ideas about rinse aids that aren't the shop bought rinse aid, hit us up and let us know. So that we can pass it on to Courtney. But I'd love to know what's in rinse aid. Like, I'll have to do a bit more research about what's in rinse aid for washing machines. I know when I did have a dishwasher, the rinse aid really did make a difference. So I have tried vinegar as well, and it works to a degree, depending on how dirty the dishes are, but not great. It's not as good as rinse aid. So there must be some secret ingredient in rinse aid that just really dries them and leaves them all streak-free, especially glassware and stuff like that. Anyway, this week, glasses and windows and what we need to do to clean them. Now, the main reason why you would probably want to go away from glass and window cleaner is because of the chemicals that are in them. And I think I was just having a look at my list here to see ammonia seems to be the real key ingredient in most of these window cleaners. Ammonia and water. The main ingredients in window cleaner, which is kind of ironic when you're paying, what you pay for window cleaner to have it 90% water. That's pretty frustrating. But ammonia, it may not irritate you. The smell irritates me. It makes me feel like my nose hairs are being burnt out. But at the moment, you're probably looking at paying between $5 and $8 for a decent window cleaner. And when I say decent window cleaner, I mean one that's not super, super watered down, because the cheaper brands, in the past, I've always found that they feel like they're very, very watered down. And so, for a cheaper one, probably maybe a little less than $5. I actually didn't have a look the other day when I was at the shop to see how much they charge for window cleaner, but $8 seems to be, like when I had a quick look online, I was like, yeah, that's around the right price. So you're paying $8 for 90% water and a little bit of chemical that you might be able to use something else. And that's what we're all about, is if there's an alternative that you don't have to buy from the store, then go for it. But the main reason you want to not use it is, well, there's the plastic waste of having to continuously buy bottles of window cleaner. And, there's a lot of brands out there on the market now who sell you the bottle and a tablet to go in there, and you fill the rest up with water, which is what happens in the factory when they're making it. So that's always an alternative. If you don't want to make your own, you can go down the route of having the tablets that you drop into a water spray bottle and use that instead. That, at least you're not having to go back to the shop all the time and buy the entire bottle. And my understanding is the little tablet ones, they come in like 10 and 20 packs of tablets, which would last you forever. Like, it seems like they're almost doing themselves out of a product, but they're not. It's pretty clever marketing, actually. Anyway, what are the problems with conventional glass cleaner that would make you want to step away from it? The main one is the ammonia. It is great at cutting through grease and grime and things like that on windows, but it can irritate the eyes, it can irritate lungs and skin. Now, I don't know whether ammonia was what caused my dermatitis when I was, in my clean freak stage where I was using all the chemical cleaners, but it certainly irritated my nose. It used to make my eyes water. It used to make me feel like my nose hairs were being burnt out, which is never good. And bleach is another thing that's kind of put in a lot of these ones. But ammonia and bleach, I found out, if it's accidentally mixed, creates a toxic chemical. I'm going to read it: chloramine gas. I've never heard of that, but evidently it's extremely dangerous. You don't want to breathe it in. So, and I think some of them do have like a level of ammonia and bleach in them, which seems weird if it does create that toxic gas. But definitely New South Wales Health here in Australia have said that ammonia, while it is used as a cleaning product, it's not recommended for people that have eye irritations, lung or breathing irritations, or skin irritations. And of course, the fragrance, we now know that a lot of the fragrances that they mix into these chemical cleaners to make them smell less like ammonia, that fragrance actually lingers in the air, and it's not great for you. If you've got hormonal issues, hormonal health issues, then breathing in those kind of fake fragrances all the time can be a hormonal disruptor, endocrine disruptor, and can cause more issues for somebody who has a hormone sensitivity issue anyway. Then there's the environmental waste issues, which I spoke about. 90 to 95% is what I worked out with a bit of research, is how much water is in these products. So you're essentially buying for a bottle of water with a little bit of chemical in the bottom of it. But that's a single-use bottle instead of having a reusable bottle. If you can get away from that, that's going to save you so much straight up. But it's also going to save your immediate environment the waste of having to throw out a single-use bottle instead of having this reusable bottle that you're constantly using. It also, if you are like me, and I don't have a glass bottle here. I didn't want to duck up and grab one from the kitchen, but I will try and post the glass bottles that I've started using. They're part of another system, which I won't mention, but they're really good bottles. They're really heavy duty, heavy. They don't have the microplastics in them. You don't have to worry about microplastics going into any of your environment. You don't have to worry about the waste because you're reusing it, refilling it. So it's a great bonus from that. And, I always say it, whatever your thoughts are on climate or climate change, I think we're all in the same basket, that we all agree that if we can look after our immediate environment as far as pollution levels, we're going to be doing the planet a much better service if we do that. So the other thing is, and I talked about it a bit last week, we are on a septic system here. We're on a grey water system. So our shower water and our toilet water goes to the septic. Our sink water and our clothes washing water goes to grey water on our lawns to keep our lawns green, because we don't water our lawns out of our dam water, because the dam water is used for animal feed and we don't want to waste it. I also use the dam water on the veggie garden too. I don't use my grey water on the veggie garden, although I have done it with spuds and pumpkins and things like that, because I don't think it really, like, by the time they grow, anything that was on them is gone now. But using chemicals that are going into your septic systems, if you're off-grid like us and you have a septic system, it's not an ideal place to be. You don't want the good bacteria in a septic system to get damaged by the chemicals that you're washing down the sink, essentially. So especially in high concentrations. In smaller concentrations, it probably wouldn't impact it so much, but in higher concentrations, it can not only impact the bacteria that is in the septic, but it can also impact the pipes and the connections and things that are part of the septic system setup. And then there's the cost. For me, that's the big one, because I am all about ditching the store. I do not want to have to keep going back to the store to buy things to start with, firstly. And secondly, I don't want to spend more money at the store than I have to. I am the original tight ass, and I think most of the people that listen to this podcast would agree that they don't want to spend any more money at the supermarket than they're already spending. So store-bought, anywhere between $5 and $8 for 500 mils, which is about $10 to $16 a litre. The homemade version, I worked it out, it's about 50 cents a litre. So 50 cents a litre versus $10 to $16 a litre. I don't think you can argue with that. I think even somebody who wants luxury everything would still look and go, holy shit, it's that much different, you know. Anyway, our glass cleaner. Now, this will probably be a short episode this week because I don't have as much to talk about as far as glass and window cleaning, but also because I've got to duck out the door and pick up kids because we have got sporting commitments coming out of the wazoo at the moment. And I keep stopping to have a cup of tea because I keep coughing. I can't shake this cough from the last flu. It's almost gone, and then it comes back with a little bit of a vengeance. All right. So now if you are driving and you want these recipes, go on tomorrow, go to the blog page and you will see these recipes all written down. I'm going to post them every Friday. Whatever we talked about in the podcast on Thursday is now being uploaded and put on the blog on Friday. So it'll all be written down there for you. So you don't have to write it down now. But it is pretty simple when it comes down to it. So DIY glass cleaner. This is for glass and mirrors, and it is suitable for both. It's not going to damage them. I can't think of any instance where either of these things, or three things, because there is a secret ingredient, that can damage glass or mirrors. So the main one that I used to always use was 1 cup of water and 1 cup of vinegar. And then I would sometimes put a couple of drops of an essential oil in there just to make it smell nice. So things like peppermint or lavender I really like. If you are using it in an area, say in the bathroom where there's I don't know about everybody else's kids, but my kids brush their teeth and I feel like the whole mirror in the bathroom gets covered in flicks of toothpaste, which drives me insane. You can put a little bit of lemon oil in there because it helps cut through it a bit better. But I have found a secret ingredient. Woo woo. And I'm going to try it. This weekend I'm going to make up a batch of the spray and I'm going to try this secret ingredient. So my new secret ingredient is cornflour. Who would have thought it? I think in the US you might call it arrowroot powder. For us we call it cornflour, cornstarch, cornflour. I think it equates to the same thing. 1 tablespoon of cornflour into 1 cup of water, 1 cup of vinegar and your essential oils. And the idea behind that, and I never realised it, every now and then I use that to clean a glass or a mirror and there'll be a little bit of streakiness left behind, like just a little bit of residue. Evidently putting the cornflour in cuts all the residue out and it makes the windows super clean. So I'm going to try it this weekend. I will post it on social media. Like I say, if you're not following me at Mojo Homestead or Ditch the Store, jump on and do that so that you can see how it works because I'm really hoping it's going to work. Now, like I say, you can put lemon in if it's a particularly gungy area, like in a bathroom. Maybe you're cleaning the glass doors on the shower. Lemon oil will cut through a bit better grease. But I love the smell of lavender oil or peppermint oil I just love that smell. And I think it takes over the vinegar so you don't smell the vinegar. I know I've said it before, my mother-in-law hates the smell of vinegar and she always says, you can't rinse your clothes in vinegar, they'll smell like vinegar. And they don't. The smell dissipates while they're drying and they don't smell like vinegar. They don't smell like anything, which I think is great. They don't even smell like the soap powder I use. But I love having a little bit of a scent, particularly in bathroom areas, things like that. So lavender, lemon oil, or peppermint oil if you like a bit of a boost, a bit of a brain boost. Now, there is another recipe that I found when I was doing the research for how not to get the streaky bits. Instead of just cornflour, somebody from the States, and we don't use rubbing alcohol a lot here in Australia. I think there is Isocol brand rubbing alcohol. But a recipe that I found over there was 1/4 cup of white vinegar, 1/4 cup of 70% rubbing alcohol, 2 cups of warm water. So it's a bit more water, a bit less vinegar, but you're going half the vinegar quarter of the vinegar, and then adding a quarter of a cup of rubbing alcohol. So yeah, I don't know. I might try that one if this other one doesn't work. And it has a tablespoon of cornstarch in it as well. If my other one doesn't work, I'll try that one and see how I go, and I will report back and let you know. So the idea is you literally just combine all of those things in a bottle. And like I've said before, the easiest way to do it is measure out, depending on the size of your bottle. If it's a 500ml bottle, measure out a cup of water on the, actually measure a cup into it and mark it with a Sharpie and say water to here. And then measure out a cup of vinegar into it and say vinegar to here. And then you put your drops of essential oil and your cornflour in. Now, the hardest bit will be getting the cornflour into the bottle, but with a funnel, I'll just stick it in and I'll see how it goes. Like I say, I'll video it and see whether or not it works. But giving it a good shake before you use it. I'm not going to make that hand signal because those watching on YouTube will go, what the fuck is she doing with her hand? Give the bottle a good shake because the cornflour will settle in the bottom is the recommendation. And then once it's all shook up and mixed and you can't see any lumps or anything in there, just spray it lightly onto the glass or the mirrors and wipe with a clean cloth. Now, as far as, I'll talk about cloths in a sec. So first of all, why does it work? Vinegar is great for dissolving mineral deposits, soap scum, and greasy fingerprints, which if you've got kids in your house, I love the big screen TVs, because I'm a Gen Xer. I remember when we had little black and white TVs. I love these big screen TVs, but holy fuck, what is it with kids touching screens? I don't know whether it's because all their computers are touch screen or whatever, but the number of fingerprints that are on the TV, and my kids, they've got a remote. There's no need for them to touch the screen, but there's always fingerprints on the edge of the screen on the TV. I've got no idea why. Anyway, vinegar gets rid of that. Cornflour acts as a gentle polish, leaving it streak-free. Now, I will try it on the TV too, because the TV screen is just a little bit different, and I'll try it on my computer screen and let you know how that goes as well, because my computer screen does get greasy fingerprints from me moving it around a bit sometimes. But the cornflour is supposed to help it become streak-free and kind of put like a little bit of a polish layer on it. And then obviously the essential oils, if they're ones that have microbial or antibacterial, antimicrobial, antifungal, then that's great, particularly for bathroom areas. Otherwise, it could just be that you're using them because they smell bloody nice. Now, how to make it a real streak-free kind of situation. Microfibre cloths are obviously the best one, and you can buy them in big packs from Bunnings, like 20-pack, 50-pack things from Bunnings, and that's what I do. And then I just take a couple out. I colour code, and I've never been a professional cleaner, but some people I think that maybe I must have been, because I have pink is kitchen, blue is glass and windows, yellow is bathroom, and I think I had grey ones as well at one point, and the grey ones for anything that was like on the floor, on the walls, areas that you don't need off or anything like that. So microfibre cloths, I just have one for each room kind of thing. Use them, wash them, hang them out, dry them, reuse them again. Once they wear out to the point that they're really holey and not working, then I get some fresh ones out of the pack. Old cotton T-shirts also work well in that respect, because they don't leave a lot of that linty fluff behind. Flour sack tea towels. I've never heard of these, but evidently there must be a thing somewhere, but I've actually not heard of them. But obviously if you're using a tea towel, you'd want to use a tea towel that doesn't leave lint bits behind when you're cleaning windows and glass, because that will really show up if there's little fluffs of lint. My hot tip is avoid paper towels. I do use paper towel here in the house, but only for certain things, usually things that are rubbishy things that have to go into the fireplace, because I don't throw them in the bin. I throw them in the fire in winter. In summer they get thrown in the bin, or they get put in the compost outside to go into the fire pit. But it's just a waste. Wiping stuff with paper towels is just a waste. I know you have to wash the microfibre cloths, but unless it's really gungy, you do a whole room with one microfibre cloth. Or if it's a kitchen one, sometimes I'll rinse it off in the kitchen sink and hang it over the sink and leave it and only wash it like once a week when I do a big house cleanup. So you're not, washing them all the time. It's not kind of damaging the environment more because you're washing so much. Now, wiping patterns. This is the funny bit. Oh, and what I was going to say was, for those of you that are old enough to remember, black and white newspapers. And I'm sure that somebody still sells newspapers somewhere, but I can't remember the last time I bought a newspaper. I don't think it was, I think once my PTSD kicked in with my law enforcement job, I stopped buying newspapers because I didn't want to read about all the bad news in there. Now that I'm free of my PTSD, I probably could go back to reading newspapers, but I just couldn't be bothered. But the paper was so useful for cleaning windows. I can remember as a kid growing up, mum and dad used to say, grab the papers, like the old papers, and that's what we would use to clean the windows. Because for some reason, when you would use the black and white paper, they'd be streak free. It would just help with keeping the streaks down on the windows. I don't know why. I don't know what was so special about that paper, but it just worked. But one thing that you can do is good sweeping strokes to stop those kind of streaks happening. And I would say do it quickly rather than slowly. If you leave the spray to drip down, you're going to probably end up with more streaks than if you just really quickly wipe it off. But there's a couple of really good tips here, which one is don't do it on a sunny day. It sounds so weird, but if you're out there cleaning windows on a sunny day, the sun is beating down, you spray your stuff on, the streaks dry before you can wipe them. So that's why they say if you're going to clean your windows, do it on a cloudy day. Because on a cloudy day, the sun's not beating down, the streaks don't dry super quick, the glass is not hot, and it means you can clean it and make it look much better without all those streaks. Early morning, late afternoon, if you're in an area where you can't avoid the sun, early morning, late afternoon, do your windows then. Now, you can also use a squeegee, and I've used my spray in the past to clean the inside of the shower glass. And when I do that, I use a squeegee, which I try and wipe down the shower when I'm in there anyway with the squeegee because it stops that soap scum from settling on the glass, so you don't have to work as hard to clean it when it is time to clean it. But spraying the stuff on and then giving it a good wipe with the squeegee works unless there's a lot of build-up of soap. If there's a lot of build-up of soap, you're going to have to give it a little bit of a scrub. And I think I mentioned it last week. With some of these homemade products, you might need to use a little bit of elbow grease, but it's not the end of the world. I count it as my exercise. It makes my watch go ding when I keep moving my arm. But a little bit of elbow grease is not going to hurt. And it really is an insignificant amount considering what benefit you're giving to the environment around you by not putting these chemicals into the air and into the water supplies. So that was a really quick one this week. I've got a couple of other things. Shower screens. I said the squeegee, I've got that. What else did I have on my list? Chrome and stainless steel. Using glass and mirror. Yeah, glass and mirror. God, brain dead for a second there. Glass and mirror cleaner on stainless steel tapware. I love it. It comes up really super clean, especially if you've got a dry microfibre cloth. Spray it on and then wipe it down real quick. It brings the stainless steel back to super, super shiny. And the other one, and I'm going to try and video this because I don't know about everybody else, but I think it's just because we live in a rural area and it's very dusty because we're on a dirt road. My car windows are a bomb site, the inside as well as the outside. Now, the outside, the back of my car is always covered in dirt because we live on a dirt road. There's nothing I can do about that. But the inside of my car, for some reason, I think it's driving around with the window open sometimes when I don't want the aircon blasting and dust coming in, and the inside of the window is just really grimy. And first thing in the morning, last thing at night, when the sun's kind of on that weird angle, it makes it impossible to see because you have this filmy layer on the inside of the windscreen. So after I make this stuff up on the weekend, I am going to try and clean my car windows inside and out as well. So I'll try and video that as well, just to see how well it works. Because I actually think with the cornstarch in there, that might work really well. It might put like a nice clean layer on the inside of the window so that I don't have that sun coming in on a weird angle and causing all kinds of weird shine. It reflects funny off the glass, if you know what I mean. If you drive out in a rural area and your car is a little bit dusty and dirty on the inside, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say the sun hits on a certain angle and it absolutely kills you. So I will try and post all that up. So make sure that you are following us so that you can see any videos that I put up about how it went as far as if it worked or not. And, if you've tried it, if you've gone and made one of these recipes up, have a crack and post me into it on social media, like link me in so that I can see it. If you want the recipes, they will be on the blog, which I should have it written down somewhere, but it's www.mojohomestead.net. And then if you go to blog on there, you will find the blog, and it'll be the most recent one. So it'll be Friday tomorrow. It'll be put up. So go and have a look there, write down the recipe. I'm actually thinking about doing a book up, like a journal, that I can sell on Amazon that will have a spot for you to write down, best bathroom cleaner, best window cleaner, best dishwashing, liquid, best laundry powder, so that you can write down these recipes. And I have a spot for a few of them. So you can write down a few and test them, trial run them, and then put little notes down to say whether or not you liked it, whether it worked, what you would change about it. You tried it with eucalyptus oil and you didn't like it. You tried it with tea tree oil and it was beautiful. You loved it, that kind of thing. So I'm going to try and do up a journal like that I'll sell on Amazon. If you are on Amazon at all, duck over and have a look at Mojo Homestead on Amazon, and it should come up under that. Amazon's pretty good as far as search engines go. My book is selling great guns over there at the moment, which is Brooded to Plate, Raising Chickens for Meat. And it's the step-by-step guide, so it takes you through everything that you need to know to raise chickens for meat. I keep saying my other book is nearly done, and it really is nearly done. I've just had so much else on my plate at the moment and haven't got to it. Unfortunately, we had a few issues with goats over the last 2 weeks. If you're on my newsletter list, you would have seen that we had to have one of our goats dispatched, put down. We didn't eat him. He didn't go to freezer camp. He was unwell, and we don't eat animals here that are unwell. We only eat animals that are very, very well and very healthy. Pat was probably a 10-year-old Angora goat, and he got stuck in mud after our last big bout of rain. And we didn't realise that he wasn't at the feed trough possibly 12 hours, possibly 20 hours before we realised he wasn't coming up to the feed trough. And we went looking for him, searching for him, and we found him stuck in mud, and he'd broken his back leg. And we did repair that. We had a cast on him, but he'd been stuck for X period of time. And anybody that knows anything about goats would understand his rumen. It appeared that his rumen had stopped working. And for goats, that's a critical issue. And we will be talking about goats coming up. Goats are next on my list. So if you're interested in goats, make sure you subscribe so that you can catch when we start talking about goats. But Pat, his rumen stopped working. Vitamin B levels had dropped to a critical level. And we believe that he developed polio, which polio is not like human polio. It's not a contagious disease that you catch. For goats, it is, and it's always for goats, about the fact that their rumen is not working, and therefore they're not making the internal minerals and vitamins that they need to function. In his case, we don't think he was making enough vitamin B, and vitamin B is essential for goats for their health. I was feeding him vitamin B. We tried an injectable. It made no difference. I think at that point he had developed encephalitis. He was unable to stand. He was still eating, but he was unable to stand, and I think he was going blind in one eye. And we made the decision to dispatch him rather than prolong any kind of suffering for him. So we had to deal with that, and I've now got another goat who's developed pink eye. Luckily, it's not the contagious kind. He's just an old goat, and he kept going down in the mud, same as Pat was. And we believe that he may have got a bit of dirt or something in his eye, and it's caused a slight infection in his eye. So he's being treated for pink eye at the moment, and we've flushed his eye out. And Elmo, his name is, because he's so friendly and he's the littlest goat in the paddock. And hopefully he will come good. So one sad story out of it, one good story out of it. But after we finish dealing with cleaning products, the next cab off the rank for me is goats. So if you are interested in goats, stay tuned. It is coming. And we'll be talking all things milking goats. At the moment, we have 2 milking goats who I have confirmed their pregnancies. So Poppy and Sage, who are both first-time mums, I have confirmed they are pregnant. and I have Hazel and Lucy, who I have not been able to confirm it yet. They came into season almost 6 weeks after Sage and Poppy the last time. So if they are pregnant, they're not quite close enough yet for me to confirm it. But fingers crossed, I will have 4 milking goats this year who will all be up for milking. Last year I had 3, so each year I'm stepping it up by 1, and it's a handful, but I do it by hand. I don't have a machine, so we'll see how we go. Anyway, keep an eye out for the blog post so that you can get the recipes off there. And if you try it, please link me in. As I always say, I will be your biggest cheerleader. Courtney, I'm so proud that you made those dishwashing tablets and linked me into it, because I love seeing that kind of stuff, that people are actually putting this stuff into practice. It really makes it quite special. Anyway, short one today. I'll talk to you all next week. And I think we're talking cast iron and barbecue plates next week for our last cleaning session one, because cast iron is tricky and people get it, they muck it up, and cast iron is amazing to use. So if you can use it and use it well and clean it well, then that's ideal. Anyway, I'll talk to you all next week. Bye for now. Well, that's it for today's episode of Ditch the Store. If you're loving the journey to self-sufficiency, be sure to subscribe. You can also leave a review for us, or share this episode with a friend who's ready to break up with their supermarket. If you've got questions or success stories, we'd love to hear about them on the socials. You can also find me at www.mojohomestead.net. Until next time, keep raising, growing and making. And remember, life's too short for store-bought eggs.